We've heard you talk about the former president. You have called him a fraud, a con artist. You've said
a lot worse names than that.
He's a New Yorker like you, and you have watched this brand of BS. Does it give you some sense, not of joy, but of relief at least, that he's potentially facing some consequences? Because as you've said before, this guy's a con artist, and he's gotten away with it for years.
He's so, as we all know, so narcissistic and self-centered.
According to campaign archives, J.D. Vance once described Trump as cultural heroin and America's Hitler in 2016. Yesterday, Robert De Niro reminded the world of these statements in a brutal live TV confrontation that has already been viewed 5 million times online. The Oscar winner didn't just recite old quotes, he connected them to what he called the Broadway production of Sellout that Vance now stars in. De Niro's warning about democracy being fragile when politicians abandon their principles has struck a chord even with some conservatives who are questioning Vance's integrity after seeing this takedown. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. President Trump was once called America's Hitler by J.D. Vance. Unfortunately, it did happen. Now, as he stands behind Trump at rallies, he seems to be a prisoner of his own career choices. A political about-face of this magnitude would shock even the most accomplished gymnasts. We saw Robert De Niro completely dismantle Vance in his most renowned parts.
I think of how absurd it is, and this might be the one case where that could be it for him. It's a state case, and it's funny, I was just thinking that he actually became president. He could have done good things. Instead, he had to do it all wrong. I don't think they really understand. And historically, from what I see, even in Nazi Germany, they had it with Hitler.
He didn't just criticize him. Robert De Niro has brought his charisma from his role as a crime boss in Hollywood to his political career, and people listen when he speaks. Imagine Don Corleone calmly explaining how someone has utterly disappointed the family. From his performances as Jake LaMotta in Raging Bull to Jimmy Conway in Goodfellas, Robert De Niro proves he can be intimidating even when he doesn't say a word. That ominous presence persisted as he turned to face Vance. On this instance, it wasn't just acting. De Niro was really concerned about how our democracy will fare in a world when politicians change their entire worldview as often as children change their Instagram accounts. Vance has damning receipts, and there's no getting past them. This individual thought it was funny to call Trump both an idiot and a cultural heroine. He clearly disagreed with the president. He characterized Trump as noxious and repugnant. The comments of a person widely believed to hold firm moral principles are those of an outspoken individual. Those beliefs, it appears, were not eternal. We witness Vance now behaving as though his continued employment is dependent on the volume of his applause at Trump rallies. The video is unbearable to watch, as Vance tries to convince everyone, and probably even himself, that Trump is now America's only hope. He nods his head in agreement with every word Trump says. His replacement appears to be a political body snatcher due to the extreme nature of the change. De Niro does double duty by both exposing Vance for his hypocrisy and warns of the repercussions of his actions. Politicians' hypocrisy in trading principles for power is merely one example of the real-time undermining of our democratic institutions. Not content to be merely outraged, De Niro is sounding the alarm. The internet wasted little time turning the whole thing into a meme spectacular, as one would anticipate.
He's sick. He is really, genuinely a sick person that somehow has been allowed into our system. I'm not calling him, I'm tired of calling him names. He just can't be anywhere near the office of the presidency.
You've played a lot of bad guys. Would you ever play Donald Trump?
Never. There's nothing about him, there's not one redeeming thing in him that I can see, ever.
It didn't take long for captions such as "Goodfellas meets Spineless Fellas" to surface. Photoshopped images of Vance in humiliating positions were circulated to highlight the awkwardness and desperation of his political transition. When one becomes the object of internet mockery, their political career is over. Even with all the memes, the phrase that really irritates people is the one that De Niro delivers about politicians betraying their principles. Beyond the shameful U-turn of one lawmaker, this controversy concerns the danger that results when political ambition completely replaces personal integrity. When people who were previously cognizant of a threat to democracy now back that same threat, we should all be concerned. Has anything in De Niro's speech caught everyone's attention? He harshly condemned Trump, calling him beyond wrong, and characterizing him as a monster who wants to do the most horrible things. It was more than simply celebrity shaming. It was a veteran actor using his position to express genuine worry about the future of American politics. Vance thinks it's humiliating that Trump continues to treat him the same way, despite his total shift of loyalty. Trump continues to treat his fans with disdain, even after they have abandoned their principles to support him. Being unacknowledged after selling your soul is the worst sort of shame. Vance has gone from calling Trump America's Hitler to becoming an embarrassing prop for Trump to use in his background, despite the fact that Trump forgets his name half the time. Beyond the conduct of one timid politician, De Niro's public revelations go far and wide. Even the most reasonable Republicans turn into brainless bobbleheads that nod in agreement whenever Trump snaps his fingers. Here, we see the entire Trump allegiance spectacle. The most terrifying thing isn't seeing JD kiss the ring after trash-talking Trump. It's like playing musical chairs in politics, but with more democratic rules. As pointed out by De Niro, this trend exemplifies the broader problem: politicians' readiness to compromise their principles in pursuit of power. When our officials put the needs of their orange master ahead of those of their constituents, the democratic process starts to go downhill. When lawmakers who were against Trump suddenly become his staunchest advocates, democracies lose much of their charm. When you put your loyalty to the boss ahead of your nation, you get authoritarianism with a spray tan.